Okay, gorgeous. So we're just gonna start to settle. I'm just pushing one shoulder down and then the other. And just creating that space from the ears to the shoulders. And then pulling all the way back and holding at the occiput. Just going to let my fingers gently circle here. And then bringing those circles up behind the ears and coming to work into the scalp. And just giving this time for us to settle and land. And trying to reset from a busy day. And letting us find rest. And hopefully sleep. And just no oil here, just really allowing that pull of the neck and creating space. I'm going to gently brush from the center of the chest out towards the shoulders. As always, being mindful of waking up our lymphatic system. Anything to assist our body in getting rid of that unwanted waste. Gentle pumping motion, center of the chest. And then out and towards the armpits. And traveling up to behind the ears. Along the jawline. And under the chin. And then we're going to reverse that wave back under the jaw, behind the ears. Towards the armpits. And then back into the center of the chest, gently pressing over the sternum. I'm going to repeat that sequence once more. And we can just bring our focus to our breath. Just thinking about extending that out breath. Really emptying our lungs before taking the next breath. And sending our attention down to our toes. I'm not trying to change anything, just noticing where we might be holding. From our toes, we're going to send our attention to our ankles. And then up to our knees. And then to our pelvis and our sacrum. And then to our fingertips and our wrists. And then that attention can flow up to our elbows and our shoulders. And then finally to our neck, our jaw, and the crown of our head. And just giving us a moment to settle in that awareness. Feeling our body as a whole and where it's meeting us today. No judgment, just noticing. I'm going to gently brush out again from center. And then that lift and pull until I'm holding at the occipiter, and you can just let the weight of your head land in my hands. And just really subtle pulses here. It can feel so comforting to have your head held. I'm going to slowly release and then gentle pressure points down the center part. Applying pressure through both of my hands down towards your toes, and then releasing. I'm going to start with a cream cleanser, just super gentle, just warming that up and then holding at the temples before gliding down. And doing nice big circles, and lifting up from the neck and slowly making my way up to the forehead. Circles around the cheeks. And then scooping up and working either side of the nose and then out and across the forehead. And creating circles around the eyes. And then big lifting motions. the cleanse has a clear purpose in the treatment. It's also really lovely just to use it to set the tone and allow us both to ground before continuing. I'm going to remove that with my first set of cotton pads, just gently wringing them out and starting at the neck and working up. And turning over to the clean side and just going once more, just to make sure I haven't missed any areas. And then holding on the temples before removing. I'm going to take my Elixir Centella mask. I'm just going to apply a tiny bit to the back of my hand. I'm taking my brush. And we're going to start by applying from the chin all the way out towards the ear. And just allowing this to glide. And this mask is beautiful for soothing and hydrating. Exactly what we need in winter when our skin goes through a lot, going from heating to cold to wind to rain. Can often do with just a little bit of extra nourishment in these months. London's been particularly grey and rainy, so it's a nice excuse to be cosy and have a facial. Taking that same pattern over to the other side, keeping my strokes nice and long, and working up the face gradually, and coming up the side of the nose and then across the forehead. Taking any excess on my brush, and we're doing one big circle, a smaller circle in between the lip and the nose, and then a figure of 8 around the eyes. And just allowing my brush to land and glide, making sure I haven't missed anywhere. And keeping those circles. And coming off the bridge of the nose. And we're going to take 2 pumps of oil. And just starting in the center of the chest. And gently working out. And just spreading that oil over the area we're going to be working in. letting my hands land and glide from one side to the other. Coming up around the back of the neck and just holding behind the ears. And this motion just creating a really gentle wave all the way across the chest from one side to the other. And then coming back into center, I'm going to start rotating on the shoulders and pushing back towards the sternum. And gently increase the pressure with my knuckles, each moving individually in turn, pushing outwards. And we can allow this to travel, working into the deltoids, and then behind in the trapezius as well. And flowing from one side to the other. And again, finding that lift, shoulders to behind the ear. And then reversing my hands and working into that area that often holds tension. And just trying to move that with my thumbs. One side is often tighter than the other. And I just keep that in mind for when we work one side and then turn. And just thinking where I'm going to be sending my focus and attention. And coming back and gliding out again to release. And creating a subtle wave either side of the collarbones. Again, pushing down on the shoulders, one side and then the other. And just noticing if we created a little bit more space, if the chest's been able to open up. And we're going to lift and gently tilt over to the left. And this just opens up this space to work into in more detail. I'm going to start with a push and pull. And just allowing one move to flow into the next. And then working a little bit deeper into the trapezius on this side. And maybe even bringing my knuckles in. And just subtly increasing that pressure. And coming up to behind the ear and just a really slow circle, traveling all the way up and then draining down the front of the neck. I'm going to repeat that once more. 2 fingers circling all the way up behind the ear. And draining all the way down the front of the neck. And now coming up to work into the scalp. And just this really gentle circling, starting at the occipital and working back. And really just creating a release here. Often an area where we can hold tension and not even be aware of it. And just working each side of the ear now. And again, gentle circles. Beautiful, draining down again. And once again, that push and pull. And coming back with both hands in the centre of the chest. And we're going to lift back into centre, grounding for just a moment. And turning over to the other side. And then repeating the same movements on this side. And starting with that push and pull. And then working deeper into the trapezius. And using my knuckles for a little bit more pressure. And then once again coming to circle behind the ear. And working slowly all the way up to the top. And then draining down the front of the neck. And coming back round the back. And once more those circles from the earlobe all the way up. And then once again working into the scalp, circling from the occipiter up. Using both hands to circle. And working either side of the ear with just a really gentle pulsing. And then draining down. finishing with some nice pulls on the neck. And taking the next set of cotton pads and removing our mask. And most of it is sunk in, which is really nice to see. And holding on the temples before releasing. And just taking 2 pumps of oil now, holding on the temples and gliding down. And just really taking our time here. And we're going to work up the SEM. And we're going to stretch. 1, 2, 3. And then coming up the platysma, working collarbone to in front of the ears. Really stretching and pulling back as I move. And do that 1, 2, and 3. And big circles over the masseter. Using the whole of my hand, wrist to fingertips, and circling 1, 2, and 3. And looking out along the jawline. And just gliding out towards the ears. Really light pressure here. It's helping everything to drain away. You can do that 1, 2, and 3. I'm working a little bit deeper into the masseter where we often hold that tension in our jaw. And then rotating out and back in. 1, 2, and 3. Working from the corner of the lips out towards the ears. And here we're following Resorius and creating that opening, that stretch. You can do that once, twice, and 3 times. Now coming all the way up to temples. Stretching on that diagonal. Creating space. And then opening the face. And just allow my hands to be heavy and the weight of them just to land. Nothing's forced. All just finds its natural flow from one movement to the next. Looking to create that sense of ease. And letting go. And reversing my circles, coming to work over the third eye, stretching out and up. And then all the way back into the hairline, stretching frontalis. And then again, opening over the brows. I'm going to work from one side to the other. Gently stretching, using one thumb to anchor and one to stretch. And then doing the same on the other side. once more, both together. And the whole of my hands here. And allow one to flow into the next. And just lifting and tilting gently to the side, and lifting upwards. And creating this stretch and release. And picking up and rolling down. Again, creating circles around the eye. And stretching up and over the forehead. And moving gently over to the other side. Again, that lift and release. Rolling down and lifting up. Almost feels like a wave. drawing in and then back out. And stretching again either side of the lip, following Resorius. And scooping underneath the zygomatic arch. Once again, draining down. And then coming together in the center of the chest and lifting up. Remove the oil with that same cream cleanser we used to start. Again, just letting my hands glide, finding how each move can flow into the next. Extending down onto the neck. And keeping those circles nice and big, wrist to fingertips. And taking the last two pair of cotton rounds, starting on the centre of the chest, and just removing that oil and cleanser. As well as from the neck. And then taking a fresh set and removing the cleanser from the face. Again, holding on the temples and then releasing. Take my rose mist. Allow that to settle. And then I have really gentle hyaluronic acid just to help lock in that hydration. Just 2 pumps of that. And allowing that to sink in. And finishing with my oat cream. It's my final layer of hydration for tonight.